Look around today and you'll see a very specific brand of leadership being rewarded. It relies on volume, control, and absolute certainty, an archetype built on force and dominance. Compare that to the opposite end of the spectrum. This is a completely different approach to power, rooted in radical inclusion, compromise, and bridge building. This creates a strange paradox in modern culture. We tend to value unyielding control as a sign of strength, while treating empathy and compromise as signs of weakness. But we might have our definition of strength backwards. It's possible that the behaviors we call strong are actually driven by insecurity. To understand this, we have to look past political labels and use a psychological lens. This is the 6 stages framework, developed by inclusion psychologist Dr. Shungu. Her framework shows that leadership is a measurable, evolving continuum, a sliding scale of psychological development. These public frictions revealed a collision between entirely different stages of human psychological development. On the negative end of this continuum lies defensive leadership. At the surface, it manifests as a tight grip on control, a habit of assigning blame, and a strict us versus them mentality. This map shows the emotional matrix beneath those behaviors. The primary engines of exclusionary behavior are extreme fear, shame, and emotional overload. At this level, internal regulation is focused entirely on protection. The mind processes difference, or inequity, as a direct attack on its identity, leading to an immediate defensive posture. Here, the threat axis illustrates the result. To protect itself from discomfort, the mind builds a psychological fortress, using attack or denial to keep reality at bay. Maintaining this wall requires massive energy, forcing the mind to simplify nuanced human experiences into absolute certainties. This rigid, authoritarian behavior is a profound defense mechanism designed to mask deep-seated psychological insecurity. Moving toward the center of the framework, we reach the tension and awakening stage. Here, people begin to notice cracks in the fortress and question the status quo. Looking at the center of the matrix, we see a buffer of discomfort and confusion. The tension of realizing something is wrong without knowing how to fix it frequently leads to detachment or temporary numbness. Pushing through that discomfort leads to the positive end of the framework, the transformative axis. At this level, leadership requires a new approach, listening before reacting. The right side of the infographic highlights a shift in drivers. The engines of behavior become curiosity, trust, and empathy. Here, on the transformative axis, the psychological landscape changes entirely. The mind stops seeing human difference as a threat and instead sees an opportunity for connection. Processing this discomfort requires advanced emotional regulation and effort to avoid retreating to the castle. Moving toward true inclusion requires serious emotional endurance. It means choosing to stay open and engaged when things get complicated. Even so, we live in a time where this type of empathetic leadership is frequently mocked and dismissed as a weakness. Viewing genuine inclusion as a threat actually exposes the specific, rigid boundaries of a leader's own internal emotional regulation. Defensive leadership requires the world to be simplified into strict categories of us and them just to function. Transformational leadership requires the mental capacity to hold complexity, managing conflicting human needs and paradoxes without snapping. Empathy is actually the ultimate display of psychological fortitude. The next time you see a clash over power, turn the lens inward. What stage are you operating from in your own life? Becoming a strong leader starts with naming the hidden emotion sitting in your driver's seat.